The most tenured recruiters don't want to adapt to change at all.
Welcome to Miami, Staffing Industry Analysts. We're happy to be on our second day with our live podcast of The Growth Game. It's great to be with everyone and good to be able to connect with our audience in this way and have this amazing time in Miami. We have a special guest star today. We're going live on LinkedIn with Jennie Dede from LinkedIn.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks
really
for inviting me. This is great.
Yeah, this is absolutely great.
Happy
So
to
good
be
to
here.
get to know you a little bit more and talk about fun things in staffing.
Love it. Love
All
it.
right. Well, I've got to start with, how did you end up in staffing and at LinkedIn?
Okay.
What's the background there?
Two separate stories.
All right.
So I started at Allegis.
Okay.
So they came to my college
Got it.
and recruited me, and
Cool.
so that's where I
So you
started.
were in staffing.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I spent 20 years
Great.
in staffing before I came to LinkedIn.
Beautiful.
Or maybe
Okay.
a little less than 20.
So
That makes
you
me much older.
understand staffing people.
Absolutely.
Good.
Spent most of my career in RPO.
Okay.
And then moved to LinkedIn 9 years ago. I
Got
started running there, and I actually landed there because a woman who worked for me was like, I need you to come be my boss again.
Oh, okay.
I had no,
I
that was not
that.
on my radar, but ended at LinkedIn and started in customer success. I ran the global post-sales team, customer success for the talent solutions business.
Okay.
I moved into sales when the staffing role opened.
Got
so now I run
it.
the North American staffing business.
Excellent. Very good. Well, then you are a true blue
it.
staffing professional
Yes, absolutely.
who then showed up at LinkedIn. That's
Yes,
awesome.
yes,
Very good.
yes.
Sounds like a fun background. So talk to us a little bit. Now, my audience is primarily interested in growth tactics. That's,
Okay.
but we have a wide audience in staffing. But I'm really curious. So talk to us about, how does a staffing company use LinkedIn to see and accelerate growth in their staffing organization?
There are so many ways. So let's start with the easiest. The easiest is jobs, right?
Okay.
You post a job on LinkedIn, you get to tell your story, a little bit about the job that you're hiring for, but then you also get to talk a little bit about your staffing company.
Right.
Easiest, cheapest, branding.
Yeah.
Actually not cheapest, because the cheapest is actually just posting and being active on
just
LinkedIn.
Post content.
Just post content.
Yeah.
And I feel like so many people are afraid to post content. You can actually use
Yes.
ChatGPT and say, write me a post. Actually, the AI functionality lives in LinkedIn too.
Right.
And you can say, I want to say this.
Right.
Fix it with AI, and
Make
it
me
happens right there.
sound better than I would have
Exactly.
on my own.
So if you can drive followership to your page,
Yeah.
if you can just seem like a thought leader, even as a
Yeah.
recruiter or a staffing leader, that immediately gives you credibility and I think better growth opportunities.
I agree.
Then on top of that, we have Sales Navigator, which is obviously a CRM for sales professionals, which is a great way to
Right.
leverage the network and
Yep.
the billions of people we have on there. But
Sure.
the other thing that you can be doing, if you have recruiter, RPS is what we call it, you have access to LinkedIn Talent Solutions.
Okay.
LinkedIn Talent Insights.
Uh-huh.
And what that's going to tell you is who's hiring. Of those companies, where are they gaining talent? Where are they losing talent? What's the market rate for the talent that you're looking for?
Wow.
So you can have really educated conversations instead of going blind into either a sales call
Right.
or even like you could get the sales meeting, but then the recruiter has to get on the call to
Sure.
place the deal. LTI helps both of those groups.
So let's make sure we're
Yeah.
specifically understand this. So we really talked about three specific tools that can be used.
Yes.
Number one, free. If
Post.
you're not posting content,
Yes,
you're falling behind.
no question.
Is that a true statement?
No question.
If you're in the staffing business and you're not on LinkedIn posting content every day,
Yes.
somebody
No, I
else.
mean, not every day, but
I
like
mean,
regularly.
Okay,
regularly.
what
yeah.
do you consider regular? At
I mean, I
least
think
what?
if you're a leader, a couple times a week is probably good. I mean,
Okay.
every day could be a little saturated, and
Yeah.
then you get tuned out. So
Got it.
I think you have to actually have something to say. You don't
Yeah.
want to just post
right. It's
for.
got to be
Yeah,
intelligent.
yes, it's got
You
to be
have
intelligent.
not,
yes.
Yeah, okay, I like
exactly.
that.
Yep.
So at least a couple times
Yes,
a week.
yes.
Okay, that's number one. That's free.
Free.
Show who you are. Be transparent. Talk about your business.
Can I, before you go to two,
Yes.
do you know that a lot of our customers are actually measuring ROI of our partnerships based on their followers? Like, what's the followership? So that's a new thing that our customers are talking about, a newer thing. So, like, again, free content drives that. So I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Great.
Go
No,
ahead.
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. Number two,
Yep.
Sales Navigator, open
Yep.
to anybody in sales to be able to target
Yep.
customers, which
And then
makes
you have a warm
sense.
lead, right? Because you get all the member data that you
Yeah.
have of your prospects,
Right.
and then you call them and have a really warm conversation
Right.
as opposed to calling people cold.
Got it.
Or like sending that like crap email that is
Yeah.
just like I get them,
Doesn't-
you get them all the time.
It's just
And you
not.
delete 'em.
It's not based on
Right.
any relevant data.
100%.
Whereas Sales Navigator
We'll
definitely
tell you
helps
where they
with
went
that.
to school, what they're interested
Yeah.
in, so you can actually make that prospect feel like you care about them
Got
individually.
it.
Yeah.
So if you're in staffing and you're not doing those two things, are you falling behind?
Yes.
I have to agree.
Yeah.
So there we just plugged LinkedIn.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I hope the CEO of LinkedIn is going, Jennie, you're amazing. Okay.
Nice.
So then number 3.
Yes.
So talk to me about the specific offering for staffing. It's not something I'm personally understanding or aware of. Is that a third offering when you're talking about?
Yeah, so
Okay.
so staffing customers in particular
Okay.
have access
Yep.
included in their, if you buy a recruiter seat, again,
it.
for recruiting we call it RPS.
Okay.
If you have that, we have bundled in LinkedIn Talent Insights.
Got it.
So that means that you automatically, we have like any sales presentation, anytime you're talking about LinkedIn, we talk about the economic graph.
Right.
That's how our members interact. That's how like jobs, schools, skills, all the things we learn about our members interact.
Right. Got it.
You get access to like digestible insights from the graph with LTI. That's what that is. It's
I
saying,
see.
here's what the market's doing, here's where the talent's going, here's the types of salaries they're looking for,
Got
here's
it.
what they're interested in, and then you can see that in a really visibly like attractive way, I guess I
Yeah.
would say. Like it's very easy to digest. And then you can take that and have very consultative conversations.
Got it.
Nothing grows business more than really showing
That's
like
right.
you can solve problems
Right.
and that you have information that's going to make the person you're talking to better.
I agree. If you're not solving problems, you're not adding real
Get off the
value.
phone.
Right, exactly.
Yes,
you're just
yes.
not adding real value.
You're no.
Doesn't matter with all the technology in
Exactly.
the world.
100%.
We are still a human business, and
Yes.
if you are not solving a problem,
Agreed.
somebody else will.
Yes.
So,
This
I like that.
soapbox that I've been on recently is
Yeah.
that every every staffing conference I'm at, they're talking about AI, right?
Right.
Like I made a joke at the last conference. It could be a drinking game. Like
Yeah.
the amount of
I know,
times
it's
people
so
are saying
true.
AI.
It's literally just something to talk about half the
Literally,
time.
exactly. You don't know what you're saying,
Yeah.
but you're saying AI.
Yeah.
But I think actually the real miss
Yeah.
is that we're not talking enough about how are we going to train recruiters
Yes.
to actually, like if we're going to save them 20%, 30%, whatever people are claiming, what are you going to do with that 30% of time?
That's right.
LTI helps you fill those conversations
Okay.
to make them more valuable.
Okay.
That is the skill set recruiters are going to need to have, staffing, corp, wherever you are, and we are uniquely set up to help with that.
Got it. So you are obviously at these conferences,
Mm-hmm.
staffing specific. You are spending a lot of money to be here as an exhibitor,
Yes.
putting on a super fun party.
We just had a dinner. We didn't have a party. We just had a dinner.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Super fun
Yeah.
dinner. And your main offering is what then? You're really pushing the LTI solution.
Well, no, like what we say to our customers is like our highest performing customers, meaning they get the most ROI out of
Yeah.
our solution. They are giving all of their recruiters RPS, so a recruiter seat. They're giving their salespeople Sales Nav. They're posting content regularly, and
Yeah.
all of their jobs are on the platform.
Got it.
So that is like, so when you say like staffing specific, like
Yeah.
those are all products. But if you are doing those things in tandem,
Yeah.
you will have the best return on your investment.
Got it.
No question.
Got it.
No
Sounds
question.
good.
Yeah.
And so how many different staffing agencies do you service? Do you
Oh.
have a number of
In
how
North
many that
America,
you're really
I
working
think
with?
I have about I have just under 10,000 customers.
Got it.
Yeah, and
So
then
a
like
lot.
we have a whole other business in Europe that
Right.
like is not included in my number in
Yeah.
Asia. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
great.
Well, excellent. So talk to me a little bit about where do you think this industry is going? You have all of these interesting things happening. You have dynamic new tools shifting, for instance, on LinkedIn. You see all the other technology being thrown at the industry. You're an industry veteran. If I'm a staffing agency and I'm at home and I'm looking at this, or I've just got to the office and we're watching the growth game live right now and going, where do I go next? What's going to happen with the changing landscape? What do you think is happening?
I think anybody that falls into the bucket, I think the first thing is you have to take action.
Yes.
And I used to hate hearing like what got you there will
Yeah.
not get you to the next place. Like I
Yeah.
feel like it's such a cheesy statement, but I can't think of a better way to say of what's
It's true.
going on. Technology is going to disrupt everywhere. If you
Yep.
are not, like the last conference I was at, 50% of the people in the room said they didn't have an AI plan at all. They
Wow.
weren't testing anything. They weren't doing anything. And I'm
Wow.
like, you're done. Like,
You're done.
Because if you really believe if your competitor can be 30% more productive, whether and they can make something magical out of that 30%
Yeah.
of capacity, you are done.
Yeah.
You've been left behind. So I like to answer your question more directly. You have a technology strategy and you have somebody responsible for that. It can't be
Yeah.
somebody's they do it on Saturday morning.
Right.
It's at least 50% of their job that they are responsible for trials. They're responsible for tracking success of those, and like really then having an implementation plan and a change management plan of the technology strategy.
I like
First
that.
and foremost,
I
has
like
to
that.
happen.
And does that person need to answer to the owner or CEO?
I think it depends on the size.
Okay.
Because, if you're in a bigger staffing company, you typically have somebody in charge
CTO
of
or
CTO,
whatever,
exactly. So I don't know that it could report to a COO. I think it depends on the office or the setup. A smaller company, yes, to the owner, because a lot of CEOs don't know all of the things, and it's not that's not meant to insult anybody, but
can't keep up with it all.
100%.
As a CEO who is very tech forward,
100%.
I just can't keep up with all the changes. No way.
No, and as your job, you're like a CEO is looking for growth. They're looking for the customer. So hire somebody to be your advisor, internal advisor, to do that. So that's first and foremost. I think if I think about what else will change the industry, what I am really loving is the more conversations I have is like a total talent solution.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, I feel like when I was in RPO, and I worked at CLO, which was like really pure play.
Yeah.
I find that a lot of companies like that now have to go into MSP. They now do SOW work. They're doing advisory work. So I think the companies that can be a little bit more multi-pronged in their strategy will have the better opportunity to win.
Got it. And really, that's what's going to take is really evolving, becoming more solution oriented.
Yes.
And I completely agree with that. Are you seeing any specific things in 2025 that are decidedly actively helping staffing agencies grow? Like if you look at your clients and you said, here's a couple of actions, here's a couple of strategies that they're employing, and you're just like, you know what, they are going to be growing. Do you have any idea of what that would be?
That's a really good question. I think one of the strategies that is overlooked more than anything is change management.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
Because
if you're not changing, you're dying.
Not even change. I'm saying yes, for sure.
Yeah.
But if you're not implementing to the recruiters, like I had a great conversation last night with somebody who said the most 10-year recruiters don't want to adopt to change at all. No,
That's
not interested.
interesting.
A lot of them have been on commission. They know what works. They have their customers, candidates. They're sticking with it.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest strategies to have is how do you influence them to be better, and then how do you take like your entry level talent that's coming in and get them to be advanced as quickly as possible. Because you could buy all the technology in the world, which is great. Like you'll have a great AI solution if you've done that.
Sure.
But you have to have people adopt it. LinkedIn offers really valuable AI functionality in the tools that people already buy, and it doesn't get used as much as it should be.
That's interesting.
So we're thinking about how do we enable our customers to be better at that. There has to be a change agent in each of those companies.
I like that. And the reality is we're going through such an quickly evolving change in just the way we do everything with the technology that's being thrown at us, that if we don't implement change management and we get stuck in our own ways, people are going to disrupt us.
Right.
It doesn't matter. I mean, that is just the reality. I have to think that really. I think we were both around when the internet started to get really used.
Did you just call me old?
No, I didn't. But I just said that we're perfectly mature to have seen the web get used.
Okay.
There you go.
That's
all right?
That's fair.
So the reality is, I actually feel that we're in a place right now that is more interesting than what happened with the internet. I think that so many technologies over the years are quickly overrated for their near term, but underrated for their long term.
That's good. Yeah.
And, the internet has dramatically changed the human experience over the last 20 years. I just really believe that the technologies we're seeing now, specifically with AI, not to just, say AI again, I think it's going to be even nearer term. And if we don't adopt now and implement that change management and get ahead of it, really come up with a specific technology strategy, we will be left behind.
And and you need the strategy. You need a plan to make sure that it has been permeated in the organization and that you're measuring success of that.
Yeah.
I think the best laid plans are great, but really a strategy could just die if you don't have a great implementation strategy.
And you got to hold yourself responsible for it. I've implemented OKRs, objectives with key results this last year. I really believe in that philosophy and really knowing what we're fighting for and what that objective is and then measuring it is so key in organizations.
I think what you're going to end up seeing is companies that have been successful based on traditional methods, they might be able to win in the short term and feel like I don't need to catch up. So they might not feel it in the short term, but there's no question they're going to feel it in the long term. So
Well, Jennie, thank you so much for
thanks
joining
having
us today
me.
on the Growth Game. We really appreciate it. It was fantastic
so
meeting
great
and
to
getting
meet
to
you.
know
Yes,
you more.
absolutely.
Appreciate it so much. Well, audience, that's a wrap for another podcast. We've got 7 more lives coming today, so stick around and we'll see you soon.